Welcome back to the New Music Alliance Radio Hour. I'm Violet Hausthor, joined this week by Mistress Miriam and Paul Wallen. And you just heard Campbell with Cream Soda. And before that, Christopher Cavaliere with Ghost of Fun. Starting off that block, Kimaya Diggs, If You Love Me. Let's talk about Kimaya Diggs, because that's off a new album, right?
It is. In fact, it's only been out for a couple of days now, and such a great song. I'm lucky enough to have heard her play it live a few times, and you know how sometimes you just get to know something before it's even released, and so I was really excited to be able to include that song.
Nice. She's here in Northampton, Massachusetts. She's terrific. We've played her before. Really a favorite.
Yeah, and this is the beginning of, she has some new music coming out, full length that she's naming Quincy. And that title is actually after her dog, who she recently lost, but her dog was named Quincy. And this particular track she wrote after a hike with Quincy, and wondering how the world could be so green with spring when she was grieving her mother, who had recently passed away. So I know it was a very personal song for her.
Yeah, and I really love the vocal arrangement on this track as well. It's really excellent R&B sound.
Yes.
She sings beautifully. I've always loved her voice.
Yeah, her voice is excellent. We've featured her on the show a good few times before, and it's because she's excellent.
And then I think we had that Ghost of Fun track with Christopher Cavaliere, and that was such a great song. And it's interesting because Chris composed, performed, and engineered that entire album that's from, which is the Big Wheel album. And I think that's how he does most of his albums. But he told me he's kind of obsessed with all the processes that go into making a record.
It's really excellent stuff. Yeah, he's out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. I really love the sort of arrangement and the style of this track. It sounds like singer-songwriter, alt folk almost, but then it has these really interesting electronic elements, those subtle like synth pads in the background and these little riffs that go on the keys. There's so much there. I really like it.
I'm so impressed and interested in people who record everything from home. You know, my first question about him was, being a vocalist myself, was, is he backing himself? Which clearly he is. I think you told me, Paul, that he said he's done everything on this track.
Yep.
Yeah, remarkable producer then.
Yep. And it's interesting how, that it feels like such a mix of influences, because I think that kind of describes his background too, that he spent his high school years rocking out to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, and then he studied jazz and classical. So I think he's got a lot of different influences that go into that, including visual art. He's married to a visual artist, and you can tell that from the album cover for Big Wheel. But I think a lot of his music is actually kind of, comes from some of that inspiration with his wife and the visual art as well. Plays a lot of shows in the New Haven area, even though he lives in Bridgeport. Yeah, I think he's routinely playing over there.
And then rounding off that block, Campbell with Cream Soda. Yeah, out of Worcester, Massachusetts. Incredible keyboard player. I really like the sort of almost lo-fi hip-hop sound where it's jazz meets these electronic textures as well, and these lovely keyboard tones. There's a lot going on here, and it's really interesting. And he's an incredible player, clearly. That solo was really, really good.
Yeah, this song is from his project called Mellotones. And so that's this is a little more electronic, but he's also just a wildly talented jazz pianist.
I like how he plays with the percussive elements, how they're not on the downbeat. They glide intermittently through the track.
That's that jazz sensibility.
And he began playing piano at age 2. But I saw that he considers his career actually started around age 9, when he and his siblings used to perform American songbook standards at nursing homes around central Massachusetts.
So, what do we have for our next block?
All right, this next block, we're going to start off with somebody you may not know, has roots in central Connecticut. That's Nora Jane Struthers with the song Belief.